Hey you guys, okay, so today I am sharing my ultimate under eye trick for like ironing out your under eye area, making it look smooth, poreless, porcelain, that looks natural. So you've got like full coverage, but it doesn't look cakey and it doesn't feel heavy. So I'm gonna share with you guys these tips. In a lot of recent videos where I've done my makeup, you know, there's been a few where I've maybe addressed, you know, like a different method that I'm using, or you'll see something. I feel like finally recently I've combined it all into like one just ultimate routine that really works. I'm gonna show you guys how to camouflage those little lines right under your lower lash line, how to camouflage hollowness that you might get like from your tear trough without having to do anything invasive. Using products that are moisturizing, not powdery or cakey, not staged makeup-y. I love the look of perfected skin. I love the magic that you can do with makeup, but it's so easy just to go full force and do it. Anyone can do that, and then you look a little nuts in real life, you know? And when I show you guys these methods that I use, I not only want them to look good on camera, obviously, because you're seeing it, but mostly it looks good in real life, and I think that's very important. So I'm gonna share with you guys all these things that I use. I'm not like a 21, 20, 18-year-old YouTuber. Like I'm gonna be 35 this month, and I still feel like that's very young, but I feel like, you know, you can't just say, oh, they're fine, don't take, you know, enhancing your beauty, making yourself look and feel better to you is really what makeup is all about. This is a way that no matter your age, you can do your makeup. If you have wrinkles, if you have fine lines, if you have very hollow areas, this is going to be flattering to you. But anyways, I hope that you guys enjoy it. Keep watching and I will share all my under eye secrets beginning to end. Okay, so I did my foundation, put on some lip gloss. There is an order as to how I like to do my concealer under my eyes, to then my bronzer, my blush, and then the powder that I do if I do anything under my eyes, which that is a part of this, but we're gonna do it in a different way. All of this I feel is kind of a little different than what you may expect. It's not just layering on concealer and baking and doing that very heavy look. You wanna get a product that is so, I wanna say like velvety, satiny. I found two concealers that fit this bill. One is the By Terry Terribly Denseless. It is like 60 something dollars. This is like legit the fourth one I've used up. And when I bought that, I would always say, guys, it's the closest thing I've ever found to the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind Eraser. This is like $6 at the drugstore. Why am I not just buying this? So I went back to that. Y'all know I like to try all kinds of different things, but I like this because it's similar to that, and that it has things in it, ingredients that actually help with the things that you're covering up, like a serum. And y'all know I have been raving about this. Oh, a bunch of it came out since the very early days of YouTube. I don't even know, over 10 years ago here, when this first came out. And I used to love the, I have veins up there, so I always put that. I used to always love the foundation too. And I think back then I was like maybe like 22, 23, and I was like, why am I using this? Like, I don't know, like, do I really need an anti-aging foundation? But I really love it. And it was so against like what I would normally use for my skin type. Now I'm like, maybe I should revisit that. You know what I mean? So I take a blender and I just kind of blend that in. Now this may even be too much. Now I'm not like dragging it all down my face. I'm just literally using this in this area, and like you can see, I'm flipping to a clean side and I'm kind of wiping it a little because I don't want a ton of it, honestly, right under my eyes, where you can get those little wrinkles, you know, and stuff like that. So when you're using this, I'm gonna cake it on all the way up under there. I kind of like, I'll pat it in and then I'll kind of wipe it right there so that it stays really sheer, so that you kind of get that effect, but it's sheer. And then I'll kind of like put a little there. I'm using my my Sigma blender, you guys. I talked about these a little bit lately, but this one is what I really like to use in a second when we do the powder. So kind of, you know, you've just concealed a little. If you've got, you know, your under eye circles, you don't want to just totally think that you have to like blink everything out, because sometimes that looks even weirder, you know what I mean? Especially like, that just highlights textural issues, do you know? So next, what I have an issue with, I've always had this, I remember since I was like in high school, I would always notice this when I first started like caring or like looking at, you know, makeup and stuff. I've always had like a little hollowness right here. Not bad, it's just how your face is. People get filler there, people do all kinds of things. That's something that I just freaks me out a little bit, putting that around your eyes, because sometimes you see people and, you know, they may have looked very like wide-eyed and you don't really even notice that. Then they get filler and they look a little like puffy. It can make you look a little, I don't know, like it just make, it can, so while you like smooth that, it can kind of like honestly make you look a little tired or like puffy, you know, like you've been out a lot. Worn down, like puffy, like, hey, I've been on a bender. No, I'm kidding, you don't want to think that. This is where your really bright concealer comes in. So get something that's several shades lighter than your skin tone and a really moisturizing formula that's not gonna like be super drying or look cakey. I found two really good formulas, the Jouer Essential High Coverage Liquid Concealer, and I use the shade Snow. Or I really love this one too, the Fenty Beauty in shade 100, the Pro Filter. These are both so good, and equally I love them, and I kind of just use them back and forth, but then sometimes I'm like, I'm just really gonna go to town on this one so that I can then use this one. Both very good, almost identical like in what they do. So I'm just gonna use this Jouer one. But so you take it, and what you wanna do is you wanna stick to that line and down, okay? This is where you draw your little thing. And don't use a ton, that's probably like way too much. I had a lot on my thing. Don't get it above that little hollow line, okay? And if you think you don't have that hollow line, that's great. But just trust me, even if you don't have that, this is pretty flattering. I put a little bit there, a little here, and a little there. And this can be your like kind of highlight that you use. So then I take this, which I like again, because you can have a clean side, you know, that you haven't used. So then I do that, I kind of dab out this up here. And then you can use like the part that has a little bit of your real foundation on it to kind of blend it. And then you're gonna blend this. And when you do, kind of just like, I like to just dab, 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 right? Dab it kind of carefully so that it stays below that line. If it gets on the side of your nose, that's fine. It's kind of flattering. If it gets too high, you can put a little of your other concealer back. But the idea is that you just don't want it really, you want it just to get in that little shadowy part, but you don't want to blend the light concealer way up under your eye. And I feel like already that kind of helps. Still very light, doesn't feel like a million layers. And when I do my foundation, most of the time I use one that has salicylic acid in it that's kind of like an acne thing. So I don't put that like way up under my eyes. But if you have a foundation that you really love, some of mine I do like way up under my eyes, you may, you know, just skip this. Or if you like don't want to like really highlight so much, then you may want to skip this second step. I mean, I don't know, but I feel like that really helps and it's really pretty. We have not arrived at like the wow like thing that finishes all off, but I feel like you have to do other things first. Do all of your, you know, your bronzer and all that first, because I don't, you know, I'd rather it kind of be blending in to like that than put a powder on first and have that. I like to finish it off with a powder. So let me show you what to do. Okay, first of all, this is amazing. If you haven't picked this up, grab it. I will link to all the things that I'm using. Put a little bit on the side of my nose. People always ask what brush I'm using with my bronzer. This is the F23. I will link to everything, a little bit on my brows. This is just all that I've been doing. I kind of retired my Chanel bronzer for the moment and have just been loving this. Do your blush. Again, I use that from here too. I'll do my highlighter in a second, but here's what you do. You take this. This is the by Terry Hyaluronic Hydra Powder. This is life-changing. Now, another product that I used to use is the Too Faced Peach Perfect. This is also really great for that. When I would use this in videos to put right here to blur that line, you guys would always be like, whoa, like I can really see that, you know, like you could kind of see it disappearing before your eyes. This is a great product too. So it just depends, but I've been so in love with the Hydra Powder, and what you do actually has hyaluronic acid in it, which is amazing for your under eye area. I take the end of the blender and I just blend it in like that, and it is so creamy, you guys. This is like the creamiest, craziest powder, and I just dab it right there. I'm not caking it under my eyes. I'm literally just dabbing it right over that line. This is like an actual product that works really well. Again, I flip it over and I blot it off. You always want to make sure that powder is so blended, because when you first put it on, it can look very intense. And I'm not applying more, I'm just using the side that had no powder on it to really just press it into my skin and honestly just kind of dab it off if it got anywhere where it shouldn't be. So it's velvety smooth. It's like you've ironed out your eye area and it is like porcelain. When you look at yourself in the mirror, like you really don't see any pores or anything, and it's really, really cool. And then I'll finish it off in a second with something else, but let me finish my makeup really quickly. And I wanted to mention this as well because you guys see me use this brush a lot for that little trick, the F87. This is just like perfection to smudge in that powder. and like press it on like that. This is so good, but a lot of times I like to just make things really simple. That's why I love a blender. I always, you know, I go back and forth between my beauty blender and the Sigma blender. It's just, you know, I'll clean both of them. I'll kind of have them, but for this, I love this because you know, you can kind of like use this for your foundation and then have this one side for this, and it's not super fussy. These little lines right under your lower lash line, that's what can look a little creasy for me. That's what can look a little rough throughout the day. So what I like to do for that is just make sure that you did not load it up with foundation or concealer. You can actually, you know, take the end of the blender and make sure that's a little blended out. I have that little Kopari balm that I keep in my purse that I kind of like throughout the day, I'll kind of just like dab it under there if something starts looking a little funny, because you don't really need mega coverage on your lower lid. It's really here. So just kind of make sure that you pay attention to that and don't cake it up, you know, up under there. You can even, if you have issues with that being liney, kind of maybe embrace some. Now, I don't want to say don't pile it on because then you'll really see the texture as well. But if you even wanted maybe just to smudge, maybe like a shadow, that would be better rather than using like a really heavy liner. You could take a shadow, you know, kind of smudge it right there. And that way, you know, that kind of blurs that. You don't feel like that has to be so bright and, you know, cakey and concealery. So that's another under eye trick. You can kind of just like smudge that little area. It makes that area sort of recede right there and your lines disappear. So that's a good trick. What I like to do at the very end is use a setting spray. Now, I have a few that I like to use. This one's good and this will help your under eye area too. I love this. This is, I hate to even recommend it, but I have to talk about what I love. I just have to. Sorry if it's like, whether it's 99 cents or $90, it's just so good. The Chanel Hydra Beauty Essence Mist. I purchased another one of these, gosh, a few months ago because I felt like it is running out. And it just keeps going. And it is just so good and hydrating and refreshing. And it really does a good job of setting my makeup. This is really heavy duty as well. The All Nighter. And just a little bit. And then when you spray, kind of direct one here and one here. And that will sort of set this area as well. If you feel like you've done a little too much, take this brush and just dab it in. You are literally all set, my friends. I hope that you will try this. It's just such a great method for doing your under eye, and hopefully you picked up some new tips. So I will link to everything that I used. Love you guys so much, and I will talk to you very soon. Bye, y'all.